Hey, what's going on, folks? Welcome back to the Real Legend of Gaming. We are here with the brand new update for Clash Royale. The touchdown quest is available. You guys can play the touchdown mode in a practice session, in which you get 10 crowns and you unlock some free items along with the items that are in the quest. But this video is not about the update. We did that yesterday, so I'll leave the link in the description for you guys to check that out. What we're going to do in this video here is I'm going to show you matches that I had early in the day. And folks, these are not my highlights. These are not going to be matches where I wreck and win. I'm going to show you mistakes and errors that I did that allow me to come up with these tips for you guys in order to play the touchdown mode and to be able to actually win the matches, right? You have the option of playing with a friend or doing a quick match in the practice mode. So have fun with it, right? Because that's the point of the game, is to have fun. But I also want to help you guys win. So we're going to show you right now some tips, and I'll show you step-by-step examples of what to do and what not to do, all right? So enjoy. All right, so for those that are new to Clash Royale and never played draft mode, you want to pick the card that's best suited for your deck, right? But at the same time, if you're giving your opponent a card, make sure you pick up the counter, right? Those are just the basics. Now, there are other techniques that I can discuss in a separate video because they really don't apply to touchdown mode. Touchdown is very different, plus it's also 2v2. So we're going to show you the techniques that I think would help you guys out, all right? So very important, right? When you're drafting, you want to take the cards that can target multiple units at once. I like to call them multi-directional attackers, and I like to place them in the middle lane, because it allows you to get exposure to the left and right hand lane and also the middle, so it gives you more protection. Now, cards like the balloon, if you do have them, once you set yourself up to defend, you can throw that card in. It's going to move up so fast, you're most likely going to get the touchdown, right? I think there's cards like the balloon and the golem that if the opponent does not focus on those cards, you're going to get an automatic touchdown. And I'm going to show you some replays right now with the golem to show you exactly what I'm saying. All right, so the replay here, we're going to show you exactly what I'm talking about with the golem. Such an OP card in general, but in this mode, this is going to be one of the top cards. You need to choose it. So we use the tornado spell, right? We try to group everything up in one lane. Now, before I was heavily emphasizing using your multi-directional attackers in the middle. You cannot do that when the golem's in play. You have to put a majority of your attack to stop the golem, because if not, your golem goes right to the touchdown with ease. Now, when I say majority, I'm not saying all, folks, because you still need to pay attention to the other two lanes. And if you use the strategy that I realized also is, if you're playing a golem or a balloon on one side, try to play either your hog rider, your prince, dark prince, or your battle ramp on the opposite direction so that it can charge at the other side. So it leaves your opponent in a very tough bind. And that's why I emphasize that you guys need to be able to pay attention and defend. Because look, this is an example here. Battle ram gets right in for the touchdown. So again, these are real highlights, real mistakes that I made, but I want to share them with you guys so you can see. So this highlight here, we're going to show you the golem again. This time around, we're going to try to defend as best as we can. But now you have a 3 musketeer. So it puts you in a tough spot because you have to defend the middle and you also have to stop that golem. Now, my teammate went ahead and threw the balloon on the right-hand side, opposite from the action, which is a good idea. However, when you have cards like a golem and 3 musketeers, you gotta put your attention on it. You cannot just go on offense. You have to stop that card. It's mandatory. You really need to. And again, look, right in there. So that's why I really emphasize that. Now, the next replay, I'm going to show you guys another technique, right? And this comes down to the actual drafting. And it also kind of goes into one of the tips that I gave you as far as setting up the draft mode deck. And so I think it's very important that you choose an executioner, because the executioner has an incredible radius of attack. Its range is insane, and it can target multiple troops when it's in the middle. So it's very important to have that. However, I do think the Ice Wizard is excellent, but if you have to choose, I think the mandatory choice is the Executioner. Again, now the P.E.K.K.A. Why am I picking the P.E.K.K.A.? Because you need to stop cards like the Golem, the Giant. So I think P.E.K.K.A. is also a mandatory choice. So since I have the P.E.K.K.A., I have no problem giving them the Golem. I know it's OP, but I'm confident that I can stop it. So that's one idea to have in your head. However, I'm going to show you a mistake that you can easily make because you feel like you have a situation under control. And we'll show you that.
Yay.
So we got the Princess in the middle. We're bringing the Wizard. Wizard will do a good job of stopping it. That Cannon card is a great card too as well. That's one that you have to pay attention to as well. So now you got the P.E.K.K.A. P.E.K.K.A. is going to counter that going very nicely. We're bringing a Minion Horde and we're bringing a Tesla. The problem with that is we put too much attention on the Golem and we left ourselves exposed on the right-hand side. Now we're defending, right? And you guys are saying, oh, we're good. We got this under control. But look at the Witch. We dropped down our Executioner. One little baby skeleton was able to sneak in, folks. And that's all it takes to lose the match. So focus on your target, right? We did, but do not commit all of your attack to it. And that's where we went wrong. So now we're going to show you here how important it is to place your buildings in the middle, especially the X-Bow. X-Bow is going to do an incredible job of locking in on both sides. And with the Princess, we're doing a great job right there. We're covering a lot. So now look at that. The range and the amount of damage that we can do has just increased by a lot by having those two cards. So this allows us to split up our offensive attack because the middle is pretty much covered. And with the Dark Goblin, we're pretty good. The Dark Goblin is another card that I think you should also choose. And towards the end of the video, I'll give you guys a couple cards that I think are mandatory. I already listed a few, but there's a couple other ones. So, defending pretty well. Now, you see the Infernal Dragon almost made it up top because the opponent was not focusing on it. But they did a good job of stopping it afterwards. So now we got to stop the Lumberjack. Now, notice we got a Zap. We'll stop that right there. Infernal Dragon will creep up. They did an incredible job of dropping down those Spirit Goblins. So we almost had that victory. Very close right there. We'll use the Battle Ram. We'll try to distract the opponent. Because that's one of the cards that you just simply cannot ignore. We got an Executioner. We got a Princess. We got a Dark Goblin. And another Princess. So we're covering almost the entire field with our attacks. Now, we did not win this match, right? It was a draw. And that's just simply because we didn't really have enough offensive cards to push up the way we wanted to, right? We had a lot of cards that will stay in a locked-in section and attack, which is fine, right? Because you need those. And look, Expo's still working, locking in, but we'll get a draw right there. So that's exactly the way to defend right there, folks. I thought that was pretty good. All right, now what we'll do is we'll show you one more highlight. Now, this highlight here, I'm going to show you how important it is to utilize the Hog Rider's speed and play with the opponent to the point where you want them to focus on one side of the attack while you quickly switch lanes and go with the side that they're not focusing on. So we did that with the Balloon and the Hog Rider. It was a great idea in theory, but I don't think it was a good tactic because you leave yourself exposed to one lane for the simple fact that you have two charge cards that can do an incredible job alone. They're now being attacked by the opponent because the opponent's going to quickly switch gears and pay attention to both of them. So you lose your upper hand right there. But with cards like the Dark Goblin and Infernal Tower, you can quickly recover. So that's why those cards are very important to choose. My teammate, again, is going to go with the Balloon. Big fan of the move. But now that they know what we're trying to do, they're going to defend. So now we're going the opposite lane because they need to stop the Balloon. So we go with the Hog Rider. And this time around, they're not going to be able to stop it. And we get the touchdown. So you see, it's all about reading your opponent's moves and kind of going with an audible, right? Use some football terms in there, right? I love football. And that's just how you play that. So you can look at your golems as your monster running backs, right? Your old Marshawn Lynch beast mode back in the day. And your hog riders could be like your wide receivers that are trying to get open for that pass, and they're just running down the field. So over here, massive defense in the middle. They did a great job with that lightning spell. But notice, right? We're only focusing on the giant. Look at the other side. We left it wide open. And that's why, folks, it's very important to pay attention to everything, all right? That's it. So we're going to go recap everything that we discussed in this video, my tips and recommended cards. And then from there, we can keep the conversation going through the comments, all right? So let's cut this right here. All right, so folks, right? First tip, to pick your cards that do multi-directional attacks. Very important. So that's going to be your Executioners, your Princess, your Dark Goblins, your Expo. You can kind of say the Wizard, right? Because the Wizard does hit the minion hordes and the skeletons, the Ice Wizard too. But if you can lean towards the other cards that have fast attack and also can really do a lot of damage, you can go with those. I really prefer the Executioner and the Princess as your go-tos. And your Dark Goblin could be another one. And the Expo. Those are very important to have in your hand. As far as tanks, if you don't get a P.E.K.K.A. in your hand, then you got to go with a Golem. One of the two. The Golem, as you see, can get down the field with no problem and with ease. Same thing with the Balloon. So those are cards that you need to choose. So if you don't see a P.E.K.K.A., then you got to be thinking in your head, I got to choose the tank. The other cards that you also need to, I don't want to say necessarily need to choose them every time, but cards that are very important to playing are the Hog Rider, the Prince, the Dark Prince, and the Battle Ram. Those are cards that are very, very good in this match as long as you got your opponent's attention focused on the other lanes. So if you do happen to get a tank and you get one of those cards as well, then you got yourself a nice little pairing, and you could kind of say that's your 10 elixir push, right? Well, not 10 elixir, right? Because the Golem is 8. But if you wait a little bit longer, you can get the 4 elixir to be able to push up the field, or the 5 elixir. All right, so that's tip number 2. Tip number 3 is your buildings. You got to place them in the middle. So if you got a bomb tower, place it in the middle lane, so it could attack either side. And I would actually place it closer towards the top of the line. That way it can hit the target as soon as it's approaching, right? Because if you put it or the bottom of the touchdown area, your opponents will actually be able to get closer faster, right? Because the radius of the bomb tower is not that big and the range is not as long as expected, right? If you're going to get the Infernal Tower, place it in the middle. I think that's good coverage because that card has good range. Expo, you already know, is incredible. The Mortar is pretty good too. Mortar does a good job of hitting a lot of targets at once as well. So the buildings are very important in this mode, and I kind of think that they were trying to do that because I know the buildings weren't being used as much in this current meta, so I think that was like a good strategy right there. The tip number 4, when drafting your cards, and this might be a beginner tip, but again, I expect a lot of new players coming in with this new mode and this new update. This is the biggest update I've ever seen for Clash Royale. They reworked a lot of inside game features, so this is pretty huge. Again, the update video is going to be in the description, so you can check that out. But when choosing your cards, once you got an idea what type of deck you're going to use, right? Once you either solidified if you're going to be using that tank or you're going to use the counter to the tanks, you got to give your opponent the opposite card of what you're going to be using, right? So if you have the counter, give them the weakness. That's very important to do. And focus on drafting those mandatory cards. I mean, it's very important to get them and very ideal in order to win this touchdown mode. And tip number 5, folks, it might be a little cheesy, but have fun. You gotta have fun when playing this game, because once you get frustrated, you lose your focus, and it also hinders your teammate, because if you're not focused, it's going to throw off your teammates' moves, and it's going to be very difficult to win the match. So have fun, focus on the match that's going on. That way you're able to pay attention to focusing the right amount of attack counters towards one push and being able to pay attention to the other lanes. There's 3 lanes that are actively being used. It's not like the regular Clash Royale matches where you have the river in the middle, and that middle lane you really cannot go straight through. So this is very important to understand. You got 3 lanes and only 10 elixir. You got to defend and attack at the same time, right? Because you have to get that touchdown. There is a timer, and if you don't get that score, it's going to put you in a tough spot. All right, so that's it, folks. Hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope the tips really help you out. If it's your first time checking me out, you already know what to do. Slap that like button, hit the subscribe for more future Clash Royale videos. We've been covering this game for a while. We have tons of Clash Royale content. As you see, we're partners with CRPedia, an excellent Clash Royale resource, and we're going to drop the link in the description down below as well, because they did in-depth coverage of all the new features as well. So check out my video first, right? And then if you want more information, like what decks to use for specific cards, then you can check out CRPedia. I have some stuff featured on there, but there's also a lot of other great videos also, and articles, because all the articles on there are well written. I can vouch for them because Itchy Monkey is a genius. All right, so that's it, folks. Peace out.